August 1st, work session to order. First order of business, we need to approve the agenda and need a motion to do so.
So moved.
Mr. Burgess?
Second.
Second. Mr. Ransom, all in favor? Passes 5-0. Next, we have the Superintendents Report. Dr. Branch.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Argo. Thank you, board members. As you all know, it's a very, very busy time in our school system. We have record enrollment, record number of employees, and record school sizes in terms of our square footage. You see many of the leaders through our system out here tonight. I want to thank them for being here after a very long day of Meet the Teacher with thousands of students and parents preparing to go with what we now know has been rated the #1 school system in the state of Georgia for yet another year. And so I want to thank them for their outstanding work and leadership. Thank the board for your leadership and efforts, and know that our community and our parents and our students and all these individuals that you see and the ones you don't see in our schools are working together to preserve something very great and special here. We appreciate the efforts. And we are very excited to welcome our students back on Wednesday and start another great school year with all the things that are special for kids, not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom, and appreciate greatly the support of this board to make those things happen. So that will conclude Superintendent's Report.
Thank you. Next, we have presentations and discussions. First is Teaching and Learning Report. Dr. Susan Stansel. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. The August 1st, 2022 Teaching and Learning Report contains 2 items of information and 3 action items. The first item of information are the results of the 2022 Georgia Milestones End of Grade and End of Course assessments. The first graph shows our math proficiencies in grades 3rd through 8th. OCS is shown in blue and is compared to RESA in the reddish-orange color, and compared to RESA in the reddish-orange color and the state in yellow. The next graph shows our ELA proficiencies in grades 3rd through 8th. The next shows 5th grade science, 8th grade high school physical science, and 8th grade social studies. The last shows our end-of-course results in the 4 areas that we test at the high school level: American Lit, Algebra 1, Biology, and U.S. History. As you can see, we were well above the RESA and the state in all areas. The attachment shows our rankings as compared to other systems. The last time rankings were shown was in 2019. You will be very pleased to see that we increased or maintained our rankings on almost every assessment given. The second item of information are the scores for our advanced placement assessments. The first graph shows the number of students taking at least one AP exam. As you can see, both schools showed an increase from last year, and the total number of students was the highest it has ever been. The second graph shows the percentage of students scoring a 3 or higher on at least one AP exam. Again, both schools showed an increase over last year, and the total was the highest it has ever been. These phenomenal 21-22 assessment scores are putting us in a great position as we begin our Cognia accreditation progress this school year and then move into our 5-year strategic planning process in the fall of 2023, where we will work with our schools and gain valuable input from all stakeholders.
Ms. Stansel.
Yes.
Could you explain what the score of 3, 4, and 5 means to these individuals?
So any student scoring a 3, 4, or 5 receives college credit for that course that they take, that advanced placement course that they take.
Thank you.
All right, board members, as we discussed at our last meeting, we review our regulations and policies annually. The next few items will be updates in these areas. I will pause after each of these to address any questions you may have. The first action item is Board Policy IEDA, Unstructured Break Time. Board Policy IEDA, Unstructured Break Time, has been revised to reflect the requirements within House Bill 1283. As a reminder, this new law shifts from allowing to requiring. This now requires recess in grades K through 5, which is already a practice in Oconee County, and allows for an unstructured break in grades 6 through 8 at the discretion of the principal. Our middle school principals have scheduled a 10-minute daily break following lunch. This item was placed on the table for public comment at the July 18th board meeting, and no feedback has been received at this time. The superintendent's recommendation is for the Board of Education to approve board policy IEDA, unstructured break time, at the August 8th, 2022 board meeting. The second action item is board policy IKBB, divisive concepts complaint resolution process. Board policy IKBB, divisive concepts complaint resolution process, has been created to reflect the requirements within House Bill 1084. As a reminder, this policy outlines the definition of what would be considered a divisive concept, and then the process for resolving an issue if one comes up regarding these topics. This item was also placed on the table for public comment at the July 18th board meeting, and no feedback has been received at this time. The superintendent's recommendation is for the Board of Education to approve board policy IKBB, divisive concepts complaint resolution process, at the August 8th, 2022 board meeting. Mr. Burgess?
Yes.
Susan, I've read through this 2 or 3 times now, and it's pretty detailed. Was there any discretion available in developing this, or is this pretty much written as dictated by the state law that was passed?
It is written as dictated by the state law.
Okay, so this policy is basically part and parcel in total, the state law, with no discretion or any deviation by the board if we approve this policy.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask you the same question on the other one too, so answer
Okay,
will be the same there.
All right, the third action item is board policy IKBC, material harmful to minors complaint resolution process. Board policy IKBC, material harmful to minors complaint resolution process, has been created to reflect the requirements within Senate Bill 226. As a reminder, Senate Bill 226 required the creation of a policy to address complaints about books containing explicit material as a whole. This item was placed on the table for public comment at the July 18th board meeting, and no feedback has been received at this time. The superintendent's recommendation is for the Board of Education to approve board policy IKBC, material harmful to minors complaint resolution process, at the August 8th, 2022 board meeting.
Same question.
Yes, thank you.
Same answer.
That's correct.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I want to go back just real
Ms.
quick,
Perry.
sorry, to the testing. I just thought the numbers looked good, and I wondered, are you seeing anything, like, we hear about how school systems are behind because of what happened during COVID? Are you seeing a discrepancy between, like, maybe us and then some other school districts that might be attributed to that, or?
Looking at our AP scores, like I stated, they were the highest, they were higher than last year and the highest that they've been. And looking at our EOC and EOG scores, we're performing well above the recent and state, and our rankings are actually higher than they were in 2019.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have technology report, Mr. Ryan White. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. The Oconee County Schools Division of Technology Services, August 1st, 2022 Board of Education report contains one item of information and one action item for the August 8th, 2022 Board of Education meeting. The first item of information is an update on our summer projects. Over the course of the summer, the Division of Technology Services supported 6 software and hardware enhancements within the technology division. This included migrating from its learning to Canvas as our learning management system, a new firewall, a new internet filter, ClassLink for rostering, and consolidating separate ticket inventory systems to a new program called One-to-One Plus. 4 software enhancements in other divisions. Remind for teacher-level communication to parents. A Versatran migration from Meals Plus to eTrition, and a dashboard for math and milestones. We procured and installed equipment for the Collin Ferry and High Shoal Elementary Schools additions, removed and installed equipment at Oconee County Primary School and Oconee County Elementary School, while overseeing installation of audio enhancement in both facilities. facilitated student Chromebook repairs, and surplus 1,142 devices for 12 campuses. We also have an action item for the Dove Creek Middle School network components. Oconee County Schools posted their request for proposal for networking equipment for Dove Creek Middle School on June 15th, 2022, and closed on July 14th, 2022. This equipment will allow for network services, internet access, and indoor and outdoor Wi-Fi. Superintendent's recommendations for the Board of Education to approve purchasing network components at the August 8th, 2022 Board of Education regular session for $166,251.40 from Cirrus Networks. These will be paid for using ELOS and general funds. Cirrus was the only vendor to attend the mandatory vendor forum meeting. This concludes the Division of Technology Services report, unless there are any questions.
Mr. Burgess?
Ryan, the network for Dove Creek will that be paid out of the budget that we've established for the construction of
Yes,
Dove Creek, or will it be on top of that? Second.
it'll come out of the construction.
Oh, okay, very good.
Mr. Ransom?
With only one person bidding on it, or one group, was that everybody's just full and busy, lack of materials, or?
We post that to the state procurement registry as well, so everyone that signed up for getting network components from that registry gets that. And they just elect to not bid and not attend.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Next report is from Operations, Mr. Brock Toole. Welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everybody. The Oconee County Schools Operation Division August Board of Education report contains 2 items of information and no action items for the August 8th, 2022 Board of Education meeting. The first item of information is our energy report, and as you can see, the June energy report shows an increase in usage over May. I'll continue to support Mr. Steve Breidenball back there and his team, tell him good job, keep up the good work. I'm also going to invite up Mr. Frederickson for our construction update.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've been looking forward to this update. Colin Ferry, we're finished. Furniture is there. The teachers are in.
Just in time.
Yes, sir. Moving on to ISOs. We're finished. Furniture's in. Teachers have moved in. Dove Creek Middle, got a long way to go. We are making a great deal of progress. As you can see, the bulldozer pushing some good dirt there, and more and more steel components are starting to arrive, and we seem to be getting concrete as we need it for the moment. So, good things to report there. Next. Primary school and elementary school, we're finished. Furniture's back in place. That was one that was never going to look good until the teachers came back, and thank goodness they did, and they started unpacking, and it really turned out nicely. Now, on each of those projects, there are a handful of punch list items, but there's nothing that's going to be problematic with finishing, and those things will be done in the next couple of days. That's all I have to report on, unless there's any questions.
Great report.
Just a copy of it. Good job, Fred. I mean, to bring all those, to have all those projects in such a time-sensitive budget, to have them all done on time for school to start. That's a good job. Good work.
Thank you. That was a lot of great people helping making it happen.
I saw that the paving was completed at Oconee High School, and then up in North as well.
Yes, sir. Both of the paving projects are complete.
Wonderful. Thank you. Next report is Human Resources, Dr. Whitmire. Welcome.
Thank you, Zardo. Good evening, everyone. Board members, I have 2 items of information for you this evening. The first is just another update on where we are for hiring for the school year that is now upon us. And the picture that you see there is new teacher induction that we had a couple of weeks ago. We actually had 2 of those. You see in that picture Justin Cofer and Suzanne Graves from my office addressing some new teachers. This was a day, 2 days actually in succession, where our new teachers got to come and get their orientation on benefits, on technology, and on a lot of other things that tend to their becoming a part of our Oconee County Schools family. Board members, I will tell you that, as you know, hiring season for us begins back in the spring of the year in March. And from that moment until this one, and even going forward, we'll bring you more recommendations tonight. It has been nothing short of incredible what we've been able to accomplish in terms of hiring. And I will tell you that as of July, after you approved the recommendations last month, we have hired 131 new employees to begin work this school year. That includes 77 new teachers. Those aren't new positions, all of them, of course. The great majority of those are replacement positions, but 77 teachers that are new to our district. That represents what really equates to, I was thinking about it today, that's 3 good-sized schools worth of teachers. And I can tell you, and I'll bring you more specific information next month, as I historically do during September. We've gotten some incredible additions to our school district to put in front of the sons and daughters that are entrusted to us. And we're very, very proud of the work that has been done by our principals, by our divisions. Certainly proud of Justin and Suzanne in my office. It has been quite a road. We're still not there yet. We've still got more to do. But all you have to do is look around anywhere in the country and see the challenges with hiring. And we have great people joining us, most importantly in that role of teacher. Board members, I would be remiss, I'm not going to sit down without thanking you again. This would never happen if we did not have your support back in March. As you well know, we stand here tonight and the budget process is not even over now. And yet we've been able to get out there as you've allowed us to every year with your support and be aggressive and get out there first. And as you'll see with more and more detail, and I know that Dr. Branch provides that for you along each week. But we're getting a cross-section of great folks with great backgrounds that are going to make great impacts. And you see, we celebrate the results of our students, as we should, and they are the students' results. But the part that we get to control that's most important is who we put in front of those students. And we've got another good crop coming this year that we're very excited about. We're also excited, as is always the case. I will tell you that as of tonight, 9 of those new employees are graduates of our school system. We look forward to welcoming back in a new role, different than when they were students, of course. Second item of information, speaking again of teachers, it won't be long before we will begin the process of selecting our teachers of the year at each of our schools. We look forward to this every year, and of course we'll have the celebration for the district teacher of the year in late September. Look forward to that as well. That process will begin later this month. And that'll conclude the Human Resources Report unless you have any questions.
Mr. Burgess.
You've told us year after year about the ability to hire good teachers, and that the quality of the teachers that we are able to hire is very high. You've also mentioned, and we've heard this, that the demand for school teachers around the state is high, and there are a lot of systems that are struggling with their ability to hire the teachers they need. You got any perspectives or thoughts being in the middle of that about why these teachers come here when they obviously could have had multiple opportunities to go other places if the demand is that high?
I do. And I will tell you, Mr. Burgess, that in some sense this is autobiographical because I, like many other people, moved my family here because I knew in this profession what Oconee County was about. The reputation of this school district precedes it. Anyone that's in the teaching profession is aware of the excellence of this district. And frankly, the excellence of our community, our parents, the support of our community, the support of the board. So in one sense, we've got it easier than a lot of places. But on the other hand, it's competitive as all get out. There's no question about it. And we do want to be first, and we do want to get out there, and we do want to be aggressive, and we're able to do that. I tell you all this every year also, and I told our teachers this 2 weeks ago. In any given year, and this was no exception, when you start with the total number of applicants back in the spring, and fast forward till now, we hire each year anywhere from 2 to 5% of those that initially apply. And this year's no exception. We want the best of the best. And as I told those folks a couple of weeks ago, they're interviewing us, but we're interviewing them as well. It goes both ways. They want to know what's in it for them. And with the support of the board the last number of years, with numerous salary increases, with the facilities, with our excellent leaders, they sit down with our principals and they can tell right away, this is where I want to be. And so I could go on, but yeah, there's a reason they're choosing. No question about it. There's a lot of reasons.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. Next, we have business services. Ms. Harlow.
Good evening again. Business Services has one action item for tonight's board meeting, which is the adoption of the FY23 millage rate. The board has tentatively adopted a millage rate of 16.25, which is a decrease of 0.25 mils from last year's millage rate. As a reminder, the budget process began in February with reviewing division budgets, staffing allotments, and school allotments through March. The tentative budget was presented on May 2nd and tentatively adopted on May 9th. The final budget and tentative millage rate of 16.25 was reviewed and adopted on June 6th. The required budget hearings were held on May 16th and May 23rd prior to the final adoption of the budget on June 6th. Budget information can be found attached to these meetings in Simply. The law requires the millage rate to be advertised as a property tax increase as a result of the assessed value of the property within the county being greater than it was a year ago. The required advertisements were published in the Oconee Enterprise on July 14th and July 21st, and the required hearings took place on July 25th and today at 5:30. All requirements have been satisfied for the adoption of the final millage rate. So I ask that the superintendent recommend approval of the FY23 millage rate of 16.25 mils. That concludes my report, unless there are any questions.
Any questions? Thank you. Next, we have the Associate Superintendents Report. Dr. Dallas, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The Student Services Report contains two items of information tonight. The first item of information is our COVID-19 update. We remain in contact with the Department of Public Health, and I wanted to update you on what our practices for this school year are going to be regarding COVID-19. Oconee County Schools no longer collects data on individual positive cases or sends out notifications for those positive cases. You'll recall that the Department of Public Health suspended the collection of that data from school systems as of March of this year. We will still encourage any individual who tests positive for COVID-19 to follow the recommendations of their healthcare provider. And in terms of contact tracing, that remains the responsibility of the Department of Public Health, as it has been in the past. And we would encourage close contacts to follow the advice of their healthcare provider as well. The only caveat to that, and this is not something new, but something I'd like to point out, is that the Department of Public Health does not require an individual to quarantine if they are identified as a close contact, if that contact occurred in the school setting. The second item of information is school safety. As we discussed in the June Board of Education meeting, I'm going to review with you some of the investments that the board has made over the last 10 years and continue to support today. You may notice Sheriff James Hale is behind me. I've asked him to come and give us a glimpse into their perception of our relationship and how that works from their end. And I do that because there's really nothing that we do with regard to school safety that isn't collaborated amongst us, our principals, our sheriff's office, and they really have a hand in everything they do and are always available to us. Just last week, I believe, Dr. Branch and myself met with Sheriff Hale, some of his senior staff, as well as members of our operations division to discuss school safety. We do that every summer, annually. And our partnership, our improvements to our buildings, any changes that have occurred. Part of that partnership includes assistance during arrival and dismissal which you see on our campuses, after-hours monitoring. The sheriff's office also conducts safety training for their deputies inside of our schools over the summertime. And Captain Smith, who is our school safety coordinator from the sheriff's office, delivers active attacker training to all of our staff, which occurred just this past Friday to start the school year off. In order to prepare for emergencies, each of our schools creates an emergency plan that outlines how we would respond to specific emergency situations. Those plans are submitted to the sheriff's office and our local EMA. So they have a copy of those plans and they can reference exactly what our response is going to be to any of those situations. We also have several safety drills that we conduct throughout the year. Twice a year we conduct lockdown drills where we teach students how to respond to an active threat on campus. The sheriff's office is always there with us to assist us in that endeavor. And what we do is we rehearse what we're going to do in those threat situations, and then we have conversations with teachers and administrators afterwards about things that we feel like we could improve. We answer their questions. It's an ongoing conversation about what could happen and how we might respond to it. During those drills, board members, we use our crisis alert system. You'll recall in recent years that you've invested in a crisis alert system that allows us to communicate with everyone on campus as well as law enforcement simultaneously with the push of a button. Now, when that crisis alert system is activated, what happens is we have a visual cue with our beacons and they're blinking on campus. There's also a couple of auditory cues. They send out a chirp that you can hear. They also have a loudspeaker announcement that gives instructions on what to do, and the desktops across campus are also taken over with instructions on what to do. Along with all of those things, district administration, school level administration, and the sheriff's office deputies all get a notification of who pressed that button and where they were physically standing on any campus when they pressed that button, which allows them to gather valuable information in terms of their response, which the sheriff is going to talk about in just a minute. Twice a year we also do severe weather drills. In those drills we teach students how to shelter in place in the event of a severe weather event. We also have monthly fire drills that we participate in every month. In those we simply teach students how to evacuate campus safely. We also utilize a tool that allows any parent, student, or community member to make a report anonymous or otherwise. They're allowed, they can put their information in there so we can reach out to them. Called a quick tip, that's on our website. Anybody can access that, and when they hit submit, it's going to go to the corresponding administrators, myself included, and then whatever school level administrators to address whatever that tip is referencing. You'll also recall we have surveillance cameras on every bus and in all of our school buildings. And you all made an investment to not only add cameras on every bus, but also to upgrade our camera system in the last 10 years. And we've added cameras to that since then as well. We've also partnered with the sheriff's office to place those cameras so they can locate an individual or potential threat inside any one of our buildings from the outside, and they have access to that system where if they were to ever respond to an event, we need to utilize it. They have that. Along with these tools, you've invested in the last 10 years in security vestibules at all of our schools. What those are, and they're retrofitted in some cases, in new construction they were able to be added. But those security vestibules separate the public from our student population. Along with those, we have access control. So what this does is allow us to have a single access point at each one of our campus for visitors without restricting the movement of the staff. So we've got access controls that